Before today's episode kicks off, we wanted to announce
the Hot Young Book Club.
Woot! We are always wanting to learn and grow, so we are going to launch some bonus episodes as we discuss our first book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks.
And since we're busy too, we are going to be breaking it down into bite-sized chunks to read and discuss.
And we would love it if you all would join us.
Our first meeting will be August 7th, and we will link the book in the show notes.
Can't wait to have you guys with us. On today's episode, we're welcoming Kachet Jackson-Henderson, who you may recognize from her lifestyle blog, The Kachet Life.
Kachet's broad background in marketing and advertising have helped her sustain a successful business in content creation and business coaching.
She talks about discovering your own secret sauce and how to use it to sell your services.
Kachet offers her advice for finding your target audience and shares her experiences working with brands and partners.
You'll love her tips for how to get noticed online. Let's go!
Hi, I'm Rebecca of Studio Plum.
And I'm Shaun of Renstead Interiors. We're interior designers
turned internet friends,
turned real life friends.
Welcome to the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
We're not that hot.
Or that young.
Every week, we'll be spilling the tea on how a new generation of interior designers can run their businesses.
Welcome to the club. Hi, Shaun.
What's up, Rebecca?
It's another week.
It's
just
good.
Cranking along.
I am the creator of time.
We have all the time in the world, and time is not a problem.
We are the masters of our own time. For those of you who don't have any idea what we're talking about, this is from the book club. Becoming the creators of our time and not having to stress about time anymore.
Yes, we're on a time diet, which has been very eye-opening. Just spoiler alert for the next episode.
We're not complaining about time anymore.
No, and in celebration of time, this is our 20th episode. What?
I mean, when we started this, I was confident we would, to me, I was like, oh, well, this is just like, we're going to go. I never thought like, we'll never get that far. I was like, well, yeah, there's going to be a bunch of these, but actually hitting the milestone, it hits different.
Yeah, which means it's like a good solid. Yeah, this, again, I think we've said this before, but this podcast is like our quarantine baby. So as old as the podcast is how long we've been in quarantine, basically.
Yeah. Ooh, that's
a good marker of time.
It is. It is, unfortunately. Definitely. But I just recently bought some other, a piece of microphone equipment, and I was talking with an audio specialist to make sure it was going to do what I wanted to do. And he was like, what are you doing for this? And I was like, oh, well, I have a podcast. And he's like, but wait, you're a designer? I'm like, yeah, I'm a designer. And he's like, what's the podcast about? And then we started talking about it. He was asking questions, and he's like, oh, I know a bunch of, other like service-based creatives and graphic designers and other people. He's like, I'm going to share this with them, because he goes, a lot of it would be applicable. And we were talking about the ideas, and he was like, I'm shocked you guys started this like in April and have already created so much content. It's like a lot of people start podcasting and they just give up when they don't like hit a bunch of followers or a bunch of listeners or subscribers right away. And I don't know, it made me happy that we're committed to this quarantine baby.
Totally. I think it helps.
Back.
No, send this baby back.
And I'm happy to have everyone who's listening, because we're not doing, we're hoping that this isn't just going out into like dead air and no one's gaining anything from it. And we've had some great responses from those of you who are listening. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us to know that we're helping you and that you're gaining things from it. And we love hearing your thoughts and feedback in Instagram DMs or emails.
Feel free to tell us more frequently, but yes, we do hear we do hear from folks, and Yeah, no, it definitely helps to know that it's hitting people and something they need to hear.
Yeah, and I like hearing everyone's like questions, and it gives us ideas for future episodes and things we can talk about, and also hearing like the struggles of other business owners, I think helps keep us grounded in what's happening. And it's easy to get isolated and forget what's happening to other people who run a similar business. So I kind of have appreciated being like humbled around it.
Sure, and we're also all in different stages of our journeys, but also we have different needs for our journey. Like our journeys are just different journeys. So like everyone's backpack has different things in it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
in Hunger Games, like you don't just you gotta like get the tools that you need
You
first.
got to be from a good district with good sponsors first if you want to be getting the good stuff like
Yeah, but
soup.
you can like go forage for food, but you need the you gotta get those knives first, right?
Okay,
Like that's
so
like the
running a
first tool.
business is like
Like
being on
Hunger
Hunger
Games.
Games. Yeah. And sometimes it does feel that way.
Without
Um
all the murder.
yeah,
Yeah, without all the children dying. Yeah.
got it. Um and on that note then, yes, we're very excited. Our 20th episode. Thank you all for being with us. We're stoked for the guests that we have to share with you today, but you know that we cannot go into that without first sharing with you our fizzle and sizzle of the week.
Fizzle and sizzle. I feel
That's
like
our new theme song.
I just coined it.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot to say this week, but I'll narrow it down.
Okay. Do you want to kick it off or do you want me to kick it off?
I can kick it off.
Okay.
So
What you got?
I feel like everything was kind of like half fizzle, like everything was two sides of a coin this week, like every
Ooh.
incident, but
Every
which
rose has
is
its thorn.
yeah,
Every
every rose had a
cowboy has
thorn.
its sad, sad song or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Come on, Bill and Ted's.
Oh, Brett Michaels. Um,
See, you
so
went there, but I went to Bill and Ted's,
what's
where
that?
then they're in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure,
Yeah.
and they go like, "What's the meaning of life?" And then they're like, "Every rose." It's Keanu is doing this part.
Oh,
Every
he's like
rose
waxing
has its
poetic.
thorn, and every cowboy has a sad, sad song. And he's like, and then they're like, "Whoa, dude!" And they think it's like all the angels and other celestial beings are like, "Whoa!" But
Because
really,
they
yeah,
time traveled? Is that what it was? I can't. I
yeah, yeah.
feel like the last time I saw that movie was in the theaters, which hashtag
Ooh.
old.
Hashtag
Which
hot and young.
will go right into my fizzle.
Okay, okay,
So
do it.
yeah. So the irony of the Hot Young Designers Club is that I'm not that young, but I had a birthday last week, which I always want to feel happy about because I know it's a blessing to be able to have a birthday every year. So
Totes.
I have mixed feelings about birthdays in general. Feel weird to me. Like I don't know. You're celebrating something you didn't do. Like you were just born.
Like you didn't earn anything by being born.
Kinda.
Like yeah, I get
I don't
it.
know. It's dumb, I guess. But
I mean, think about it like, if you were in like the Middle Ages, it'd be a big deal to make it to like 25. So,
seriously, like
I
I'd be
mean,
like the oldest lady in the village if I was 45 years old. Like I'd be like the
like,
wise old lady with my little
tell us
toothless
what it was
grin.
like 20 years ago. Like,
When Bill and
what?
Ted's came out in the theaters. No, that was like 30 years ago. Um, so I had a birthday, which I'm just like, I don't know, about. It was also midweek, and but somebody gave me like a note saying that feels the same way that I do, but she has a daughter the same age, and she says she likes to show like celebrating herself as a way to to emulate to her daughter,
Okay.
which I understand. My kid loves birthdays, so I also don't want to like diminish her excitement about them.
Yeah.
But my fizzle, I guess, was I just felt terrible all day. Like I just had the worst headache. Like I got a migraine. Like I don't know.
You
So I don't know
oped
if
it.
I totally oped it. Upper limit problem. And
You couldn't let yourself just enjoy a cool birthday. You had to like get
maybe,
sick and like sabotage it a little bit.
which
Unintentional, well, maybe mostly subconscious, but
or yeah, it was like my way of like getting out of
not
over
celebrate it.
committing to. Like I had a meeting that I wasn't ready for, and
You stopped yourself from being able to fully celebrate it by having all this other stuff.
yeah, so I ended up like still taking the time off, but because I felt terrible.
So it wasn't the best birthday.
No, it wasn't. Which
But you
whatever.
don't put a lot of pressure on your birthdays anyway. So it's
No,
like,
there's not high expectations. So the fact that it was crappy, like I think was what felt bad because the bar was already pretty low of what I needed, and then it like was actually worse. So I think
you're gonna
that's what
have
it
to
was.
do a birthday supplement to make it a little better.
I'm all about it.
Okay. What's
And
the other
okay,
side of that coin then? If you
that was
said
the
that was like,
fizzle. Well, because
okay,
birthdays are like, yes, like happy to have had a birthday, had fun
okay,
with my family. Cecily decorated for me. It was really sweet.
yeah.
Um,
It just
but then
wasn't
yeah,
everything.
I just felt bad. Yeah, I just felt not good. So,
I get
which
that.
is never good. So my sizzle, I finally was able to have my vintage rug sale yesterday, which was Sunday. I tried to have this a few weeks ago with my rug vendor that I've met at market, and he like has been doing this traveling trunk show with like a literal huge truck full of rugs. So he came through Sacramento, and he was going to do it. We were going to do it a few weeks ago, but the fires were terrible, so we postponed.
That's crazy.
And yeah, and it ended up being like pretty low air quality yesterday as well. And it was 111 degrees.
Oof.
So
And you were
that's the
outside
double side of the coin.
like 6 hours or something, or
Yeah,
that's a lot.
it was a lot. So it was super fun. Like I don't know, there's something about like working with like vintage in general, but like these rugs, like each person that came had this kind of like spot or rug they were looking for, and it was like him and his team digging through, I mean, like literal tons of rugs, and they would
Yeah.
find it, like they would unearth like the exact size and kind of like
And the colorways that they were
colors or
thinking
energy they were
of,
looking
and
for. Yeah, it was so cool. Like one woman was there with her daughter, and they really wanted this specific runner to fit in their house, and they couldn't find it. We couldn't find it, and we were finally just like, well, maybe next time. Like we don't think it's here, and then
yeah.
it ended up coming out. Like it bubbled up out of the pile.
It didn't want to be left on that truck anymore. It wanted to go home with somebody.
It did. So that was really
Their own
fun.
magic
So
carpet.
I know, and I hope we get to do it again. I could like just be there offering design advice, and I don't know, it was really fun to do. So the sizzle was definitely having the sale, and the fizzle was definitely the heat. But it's okay. It was fun.
I'm glad you got to do it because like there's not many opportunities right now to be out in public, to see like the community that follows
Totally, I
you,
saw
and
people that I
like
haven't seen in like a year. And it's just a really unique thing. Like he doesn't sell, like he doesn't go to flea markets, or he doesn't sell to the public. Like it's not worth his
right,
time. He sells to like really huge companies and brands or stores in bulk, basically.
right.
So it was like a really unique opportunity, which I personally love a unique opportunity. So it was fun to share that.
You like the magic like that, where it's
And I
just
like the like
like it
insider
happened.
track, like he was selling wholesale, and it was cool.
I mean, it makes sense for him too, because he doesn't have to like pay for a space or like he got to just like do it on the fly. He was already coming through anyway, so you
And
take it
right now with
away.
trade shows being closed, so hopefully we'll get to do it again. But once he gets back into market season, it'll be different. But
That is a
we'll see.
crazy job. That's a crazy
Oh my
job.
god. Oh my god. Seeing these guys, like, I mean, they have you've seen it at market, but like a pile of giant rugs, like 4 to 5 feet tall.
Totally.
And you just see the set and you're like, oh, what does that one in the middle look like? And they just one by one
They
pull them
shift them
down
all
and open
over.
them up. And it's just
They
a
have to
big
be
wall.
exhausted.
I felt so bad for them. I had a cooler of like ice water and stuff, but yeah.
I mean, hopefully he got some covered. I mean, they didn't have any complaints, it seemed like. Like they were there for the
No,
hustle.
that's what they do. But yeah, it was,
Yeah.
I'm sure he takes care of him. He's fun too.
Cool. That sounds like a good
How
one.
how was your week?
It was good. Like, so for a week or so here, we were planning to have an outdoor movie night. And we've been doing this for a while among our friend group. Like a couple of us will use an outdoor projector and like do a backyard movie screening. And we almost always do something around like Halloween or something, and it will watch like Hocus Pocus or something like the Goonies, or we'll do something like that. But we've been desperately wanting to see a few more of our friends, but recognizing that we still need to be distanced and be responsible. And so I don't know what made us plan it, but several weeks ago, we put this out there to just a small group of 6 people that we would watch a movie outside in our backyard, and we'd use our projector, which is it's like a, I don't want to say it's like cheap as in bad, but it's a moderately priced $140 outdoor projector.
Mm.
So we bought it on Amazon. Is it perfect? No. Like you're not getting a THX Dolby surround,
You're not gonna watch like
it's not an
Titanic
IMAX
and expect
experience.
to have
Yeah,
the
it's
whole.
not an IMAX experience. But for us, we decided we were going to watch Clueless, which is fantastic. It's kind of light, it's funny, it moves quickly. It's only 90 minutes, which is like the perfect movie runtime, because anything more than that is ridiculous. Like if you can find me a movie between 120 and 140 minutes, I'm all in. I will put up with almost any movie, no matter how bad it is, for about that long. Past 140 minutes, all bets are off. I won't do it. So I
you're,
just want, I just
you're
can't
one of the
guarantee
people
you
that
can
looks
keep
at
my
the page
attention.
count. You look at the page count of a book before you commit, don't you?
Well, page count, but also you got to look at the typeface and see like how dense is this? Like, so I mean, it's like this is good for us because also we're not like inviting people into our home later. Well, this
Well,
weekend it
yeah,
was
for
like over
that.
100 degrees, but we still, by nighttime, by like 8 o'clock, it was like 90 something. So it was like when the sun's not out, that doesn't feel terrible to sit out when you're just sitting still in 90 degrees and
Yeah.
having a drink. We had everyone bring their own food or drinks or snacks. We all sat like 8 or more feet away from each other, and like kind of everyone was coupled up, and we spread out and we watched the movie. It was so much fun. I'll link the projector in the show notes because honestly, for the price, for $140 to be able to do outdoor movies, we're already trying to plan one with my brother and sister-in-law as the sun starts to set earlier. We'll probably be able to sneak one in with my nephew,
It's fun.
and like before he has to go to bed, because right now he's like asleep by 7, but I'm like, I bet we could do it like as the fall gets closer and the sun goes down earlier, we could get him to like watch a movie at like our house outside and like be able to do fun stuff like that in the meantime. And that was kind of exciting because we haven't had that many people around.
Yeah, it looked really cute.
It was a fun setup. The fizzle to that though is um you must have, thanks for sending them down, but now we are covered in ash and smoke and fire, and the wildfires are going crazy around greater Los Angeles. And so this morning it was like apocalypse sky where it was all orange and there's ash on absolutely everything, including all my white outdoor cushions, which is that's whatever. And the air quality is really bad. I have my rescue inhaler out just because I don't do really well. So I'm trying to not be out that often, or like watering the plants and stuff very long. Like I don't want to be caught in it because I know it'll just agitate things and make it worse. So at least we squeezed in one movie night before that happened.
Yeah. Have you,
And
just side note, I downloaded an app, finally found one called Air Bubbles. Have you heard of it?
no.
It's a really good air quality app. It's just like super simple, and you can kind of see, like in our area, it's crazy because like where we are is like moderate or yellow, but then you go like 45 minutes up the road and it's in the red zone. So it shows you
Oh,
like the little bubbles of
like where it's the worst.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about going somewhere right now, you can kind of see what the air quality is like in different places.
Oh, interesting. I wonder what the science is behind that. Like, how do they know it's worse in those areas? Like,
Yeah, it's
maybe they
not
have barometers or
forecasting,
something.
and it's not a forecast, which would be wonderful if that could happen, but I know it's probably not even possible.
But I need stuff
if you're
like
going to be
that to keep.
outside, you can kind of see like, okay, is it really that bad, or is it just hazy, or is that actual smoke? Like,
And we are definitely smoke and ash. That is like for show.
that's terrible.
So we're making our way through it. We're making our way downtown, as they say. We're trying, but it'll be okay. We'll wait a few more weeks before the next outdoor movie because we're not going to have we're not going to try to do it. I don't want to put anybody at risk.
Yeah, and it would be nice if we can have a few more weeks before the next natural disaster.
Well, you know, I don't know. That's a high expectation for 2020.
2020 keeps them coming.
So I'm stoked though. There's good stuff to look forward to. There's things on the horizon, and I'm psyched to share our guest today because I know that we often think that we need to be focused on what other designers are doing or what other like home people are doing. But truly, what I really love about our guest today is how her experiences really spread into so many parts of what we do as designers, from being our own marketing and media people and communications and PR. And I think we can easily get overwhelmed by all of that, but there's some great messages in today's episode.
Yeah, she totally knows what she's doing. She totally knows her stuff. She's so fun. And overall she has done a lot of lifestyle work with and dabbled in home, so she totally understands what our needs are in our industry too. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I guess we should just throw it to our interview.
Let's do it.
Our guest today is Kachet Jackson-Henderson. Kachet defies definition with her broad range of experiences and skills as a lifestyle expert, content creator, TV personality, and business coach. In 2015, Kachet took her longtime hobby blog, The Kachet Life, into a serious business, while also working as a social media consultant. As a business coach, Kachet helps content creators and service-based business owners get clarity with easy-to-implement steps so they can make a transformative impact in their businesses and lives. We love how Kachet delivers real stories in vivid, interesting ways, catching our eyes and hearts through her storytelling and authenticity. Welcome, Kachet.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy
Welcome.
to be here.
Thanks for coming on.
Yay, QB Plus. I'm joking.
Full disclosure, Kachet and I have known each other for a long time. We go way back when she lived in Sacramento.
Yeah.
I know, right? But it feels like eons ago.
It really feels like another
Thinking
life.
about it, Rebecca, it's been about 8 years.
Has it?
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
We've both had several lifetimes.
Yeah.
During those 8 years.
A whole lifetime fit in between March and now.
Oh my God, seriously.
You have never lied, Shaun. You're right about that.
Seriously. Well, okay, so why don't you tell our audience and Shaun a little bit about your background and what led you to where you are in your creation of the blog?
Well, like many, I'd say younger, or maybe now older, but younger millennials in the early 2010s. I was working full time and had just graduated from college and was really looking for a way to connect. And connect was really, I guess, a broad term for me back then. It was more like, when you're an adult, it's kind of hard to make friends. Like there's that transitional period where you're like, you used to see people at parties or in the library or in between classes. And like, now you've got coworkers who have like families and maybe even other kids at college. And, you're like, how do I find my people? So I found that I was reading a lot of blogs. I was sharing a lot of, at the time it had no name, but long form content on Facebook, on my personal page. And I'm like, hey, maybe I can kind of combine this with, kind of, I guess, my hobby of reading blogs and really share something with a broader audience. Like maybe if I'm putting myself out there, then people will find me. My people will find me and I'll find them conversely. So that's kind of how it started. And I used to blog on lunch breaks and after work and take pictures on my phone with my coworkers who are on their cigarette breaks. Like, I'm not joking.
It was like I literally fashion post then, right? Like mostly
yes,
fashion?
It was definitely more personal style. Kind of had to live like an economized life. It was my first job out of school. I was supporting myself all the way down to health insurance and cell phone. I know some 25-year-olds are still on their parents' plan. No shade, but that wasn't
good
me.
for them, but not for
like I said, no shade, but that wasn't me. So I really was showing kind of how you can have an elevated lifestyle or still have very special things or moments, even if you didn't have a ton of money. And even as the Kachet Life has expanded, and so has, I say, my income, I've been able to still kind of have that same zest. Just because I can afford something doesn't mean I need to spend a ton of money on it in order to enjoy it, have quality, and have a good time. So I couldn't ever anticipate how many doors it would open for me. And I'm not even talking professionally. I'm talking with people that I've met, things that people that I've been encountered that I've also collaborated with and shared ideas with. Like my creativity has run wilder than I could have ever imagined. And I've been able to, I guess, kind of harness that into something that, like I said, sustains me, not just emotionally and, but also financially too. So, I'm proud of that.
Well, you should be. You've come a long way. I mean, I feel like
I don't even say I'd say I was proud of it last year. I'd still be like, I'm not proud, proud of it. You know that from our conversation.
I mean, I know.
Imposter syndrome's a bitch.
It is a problem for a lot of us. And just so also everyone knows, your like day job at the time was in advertising and marketing.
Yes, advertising and marketing. So I knew Rebecca in her other life too. I actually wanted to work for her. That's how this whole thing came about.
No, you have bigger things
said,
to do.
No, she literally said that.
For real?
She said, no, this is not the job for you because, AKA like you guys believed in me to do my own thing. And
it's gonna hold you back.
You're bigger than this. You can do more than this. Yeah. Like it's not just about working for cool people. It's also like doing the thing that you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And I think though, I mean, I will say, I wish more people in life would just keep it as real as you did, because you gave, whether or not I was ready to actually do something like that, I think it took me a few months, year, I don't know when you actually planted that seed versus like it going, but like you didn't just blow smoke up my ass. You didn't hire me because you know I was good and one day she'll leave and do this. You're like, no, you've got something right now. You might want to work on that. Sit with that for a minute and see if like you're still interested. And yeah, that's a rarity, I think, these days. So thank you.
It's scary, but yeah, I mean, you've always had the tools, and I think your background in advertising and marketing has I think it's set both of us up like in a different way.
Totally.
like having that background and those tools in your back pocket will only obviously help set the foundation for your business. So, and it really helps for what you do because you give people the inside baseball, like perspective from the brand side. You know what they're needing or thinking.
Totally.
That's super helpful because we as like solopreneurs, you have to do everything. You have to know a little bit of everything, and you don't want to look like an idiot in the room when you are talking with a brand, or you want to look like, okay, I know enough about your perspective and what's going on that I can maintain relevance, that I know how to speak your language and what's important. And I think that's like a huge background piece. And in other episodes, Rebecca and I have talked about our past like corporate or business experience or other experiences have really helped fuel the work we do in design.
Oh, and I've always coined Kachet my fairy blog mother because
I know you're the first person to use that. I love it though.
She's the one who kind of pushed like my little baby blogging bird out of the nest, even though I'm not really that serious of a blogger, but you helped me pitch myself and get into brand partnerships. And even like you told me things like, okay, find out where the person lives, what time zone they're in. Don't just send that email out at 11 o'clock the night before. Like, you want to hit their inbox after they've cleared it. Like, I don't know. You really think through all of those, like, real life tips.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate
that's
that.
A smart one.
Yeah, I think it kind of started with, I guess I'll just think about it through like agency life and client communication. Like, the only people I know who are usually emailing that late are working on a project, you know, and it's like major communication or whatever. Or they're not looking at their phones at all. They're like scrolling on Instagram like we are. So I think there are like little tidbits that we can all kind of look at just from like an actual business operation standpoint,
right?
Regardless if you're marketing or you're healthcare, whatever.
Don't get lost in their Monday pile of crap.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Wait until
you're smart.
Gonna be, like, they're gonna be able to process your request and not feel overwhelmed.
Totally.
So so you really helped me with this. Do you have recommendations for someone, like how they should sell themselves when they don't have a proven track record with brands and collaborations specifically?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I mean, you definitely want to have some skin in the game. And I think, you know, that can be, it's a loose playground, we'll say, for you to decide what that means. One thing could be you have a really great aesthetic and you're consistent with your content. So I don't think you need a ton of followers. I know people who have monetized with not even 1,000. So it really isn't about the number. It is about the community you cultivate, how you're putting yourself out there. And like the simple things of like making sure your contact name is spelled correctly, taking the time to maybe find the contact versus, hey, such and such team. Sometimes we can't help but do that, but you know, actually try to find the person, because what if it was just one step further, you could make it personal. I think also just doing your research. Like, it's so easy for us to think about our projects and what we want to do and the timing of it all, but does that actually make sense with what the brand is doing at this time? So like looking at their website, Googling the brand and looking at their news section, like it's one thing to follow them on social, but like, again, we know what social media means for our businesses. It's kind of the highlight reel, probably a little bit the same for other businesses. So maybe they're going through a launch that hasn't even been shared on social yet, but it's been on the news wire. You can maybe bring that up in your pitch. Seeing if they have an annual report so you can see what their overall spending is every year. You can figure out what percentage they would spend on marketing and be able to know, okay, I have a good chance of getting paid, or I have a good chance of maybe getting in kind. And sometimes in kind ain't bad depending on what it is. I mean, we can all attest to that from a home design standpoint.
Totally.
So I think it's just going the extra mile. It's not just doing the same process that every other influencer or content creator is doing. And I'm sorry if you hate the word influencer, listeners, but if you have an Instagram account and you're sharing any kind of thoughts and ideas, whether they're original or someone else's, you're an influencer, because you're influencing someone's thought process, decision making possibly, and maybe even purchase decisions, which again is a good thing to be able to track later when you want to make some dough.
So like being a good partner, I guess, is something you can sell. Like Shaun and I've talked about this before. Like even though like in the beginning we don't have the followers or even like page views or whatever, showing with professionalism, like our ability to spell the person's name right, like you said, craft a good email, keep it short and sweet, give them what they need to know, will help them know like, okay, this person isn't going to be a pain in my ass.
Right.
They're going to be a good partner and help me do my job well.
No, you're absolutely right. You know, the name thing, I mean, I say it and we all kind of chuckle, but it's so real. Like my name is part of my brand name, the Kachet Life. It's part of my email convention, yet people spell my name wrong. I got 2 emails this week from partners that spell my name wrong. And granted, you know, they reached out to me and they're going to pay me, but it's still like, come on, y'all, really?
Yeah. Like one extra second for you to look over all the other collateral you've seen with my name spelled correctly. Can't be like, you can't be bothered. Like,
yeah, and ideally you're having a partnership with a person who gives a shit about you, right? Like,
right. So think about how like you would feel if you received it. Like again, taking just the extra step to look at that, that email. But something else too, you were saying another way to sell yourself. I mean, looking at the brand activity is important because then you can look at what else you can provide for them. It doesn't have to be an Instagram post or a blog post all the time. Can you get the media in a market that's important? I was able to leverage that a lot because I had strong connections in the Sacramento region. Are you a photographer? Can you take really great high-res photos in exchange for a product or sell them to them? Can you get that on a recurring basis? Do they have a local presence? Do you want to host something? I mean, there's so many things. Do they have a philanthropic angle that's dear to your heart that you can, partner in that way and they can augment what you're working on? I mean, it's just, I think it's being creative. Nothing is off the table, until the final, I guess, pin drops, right? And you decide if this is a yay or a nay. But up until that point, you can throw anything out there. So get creative, especially in COVID days. I mean, this, I called it rock the boat season like a few months ago, but right now it really is like throw that spaghetti on the wall and see if that shit sticks. Like if it doesn't, throw some more on. Like try something else. Like let's just keep this going.
Yeah,
it's the make it work time. Yeah,
it is make it work time, and no one knows what's going to happen, and everyone's like in this. I think everyone's open to not business as usual. Or like I called the bank, and they're like, there's a recording saying, "Please excuse us if you hear dogs barking or children." Like a bank,
their operators are working at home too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
which is like, if anyone's not gonna be buttoned up, like it was cool. I don't know. I think it's fun. Like we see the humanity.
Yeah.
In everyone's lives right now.
Brands are struggling to like brands that would typically be in front of people are now trying to figure out, well, all these places we used to be able. I have a close friend who works with like auto shows and events like that, and he's just we're not having any of that. He's like, so we're having to reinvent the way we try to interact and get people to like, the big thing is getting you to see a vehicle if you're thinking about a car, getting you to want to get in it and feel it. And maybe not going to a dealership is important because it's less pressure, but they're trying to figure out new ways of getting in front of their target market. And in the same way, other industries, whether it's lifestyle related or fashion or home, they're just trying to figure out where is the next customer we're trying to get in front of. And if we can leverage something we have to offer that can get them in front of a new audience, it might help them. It might be the difference of them surviving this.
Absolutely. And something else you reminded me of when it comes to some brand partnerships, because even as I'm pitching and working on things, people are now reaching out to me more for photos that they can use elsewhere than me even posting, because production and shoots and travel and markets, you know, are not happening right now. Everything's virtual. So if you are good at styling stuff, if you have a great feed, like you can pitch any brand right now to just work for them as like a creative consultant, you know.
Oh, that's an interesting angle.
You know, because they need the help, they need the ideas, they need the resources, and you already have a portfolio. If you have, even if you don't update your website, you got a thing you can scroll through,
right,
to be able to, you know, put that in a Canva mood board and be like, here's my work, and there you go, done.
Or even create it. Like I've pitched and worked with brands where we are talking about like creating a little project that I can have photographed for them with their products in my home. And I haven't done it yet, but like I want their buy-in, but it's like I can pitch this concept that is basically pitching a production photo shoot for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like you talk about identifying your secret sauce. What? Tell me. I need to identify this.
Yeah, what does that mean? What, I mean, I think I know what it means. But...
Yeah, I mean, that
how do I find it?
I mean, I think you find it by doing. You know, I know that there's probably some quizzes out there, you know, Cosmo style, and you can figure it out. But I found that I was able to discover mine by doing. And maybe everyone else could see it, but that doesn't matter. Everyone else can see your greatness and tell you that you can do this and you're great at this. But like, if you don't believe it and you don't see it with your own eyes, and you're gonna just stay stuck. Let's just say that. So that's why I say you have to kind of try things and get uncomfortable. I think that you really have to, I found it by first looking at what I did professionally, because I'll be honest, I loved working for agencies. I love the collaborative process. I love being behind the scenes. I still get excited when I see good creative. I take collateral home from hotels and places. I'm like, this is a good idea for someone. Am I doing that stuff right now? No, but I might later.
It's like in your memory banks of like, ooh, I saw that really good, and you're handing, you like, can pass it off later.
A client I'm coaching one day, and she's like, I need a new rack card, or I want to put something in like a box that I'm sending to my, or you know, in my orders. And I can be like, look at this folding thing that I got. But anyway, so looking at what always kind of made you tick, I guess, maybe about like your job or anything that you've enjoyed, right? And writing down those words, like getting a legal pad and just writing shit down. Something else that I did was ask people. So when I first went freelance, I went on some coffee dates. I was like on the coffee train for like a good 2 weeks. And this was really like my discovery phase, because I couldn't see it, even though everyone could see it, even though Rebecca called it a year before. Okay.
You hadn't awakened to it yet.
I hadn't had my awakening. And I literally was like asking people that I worked with at every workplace, like for a quick chat. And we talked about what we did previously. I asked what they thought I was good at. I asked what they enjoyed working with me on. I asked if they remember anything I complained about, because, you know, we all bitch at work. Hello, it's work.
Yes.
I still bitch at work. And I'm my boss, okay?
But now just the dog is listening.
Right? Rudy's like, yeah, I know. Mommy's over here tripping. But anyway, they all told me like I was really great with people, that I could explain something that might usually be kind of complex and break it down in very easy steps. So workshops might be good for me, or being able to show someone the value of investing in social media management or PR or whatever. That definitely manifested in a lot of different ways for me over the past 5 years. But I finally narrowed it down to the fact that I'm a people person. I'm a connector of ideas and people. I'm able to, like I said, talk to someone, figure out probably 5 ideas for them within 5 minutes of listening to them talk about what's important to them. And once I do that, can help them figure out a plan in order to achieve it. I may not be able to be with them for that entire journey. You know, it's like a story. Like you're going down the road and then you meet me, and then you go down the next road, and then you're going to go see the guy with the hat and whatever.
And then choose your own adventure.
A whole glass of rosé too. Okay. You know, but that's how I found it. I know that was a very kind of long answer, but it is a process, and the sauce changes over time. I think that you can't think one thing's one way forever. Almost how you're checking your analytics, you need to check under like your business engine. What are you doing this for? Why are you doing this? Who are you helping? What problem do you solve?
Mm-hmm.
What's the response been like?
Right.
What
How
do people
are people liking this? Like,
because oftentimes a lot of what people want is not what we necessarily want to do off the cuff. Like I don't want to say that in like in a negative way. I think is that it's just that awakening. You hadn't been aware that there was this other need in this different position on something that you can serve. Just put a different color ribbon on it, not change who you are or change the recipe of the sauce.
Yeah, and I think like you mentioned in one of your emails about like when you look under the hood and see the performance of things, like photos of me really hit, and I hate putting those on there. It feels very self-congratulatory and like whatever, who cares about a picture of me, but those are the ones that perform. So
yeah,
because you think you're selling design.
Yeah, and I'm sure people don't want a photo of me every single post, but
well, if you are, I post. Okay, I don't know if you look at my feed lately, but it's all me, and I'm very proud of that. And I say that only because the picture will hook them, but it's really about the caption. You can talk about design in photos of you. You don't have to talk about you. You don't have to talk about your daughter or your pet. Like you could just, I mean, even though they love them too. I'm like, are they 2 and 3 on your top 3 categories?
They want like, most people want like a pet feed.
Right. But that might, your photo might be the hook for whatever message you need to convey. It might do it a little bit stronger than like the bedroom photo, although the bedroom photo is fabulous. So like, take that with a grain of salt. But also in these days too, Rebecca, like we can't go network like we usually like we used to. And if you're doing things more virtually or social distance or whatever, like people need to see your face. You too, Shaun. People need to see who you are, what energy that they can, that's radiating from that phone screen. And that's what gets people to, know, like, and trust you. That's why you have to do it every now and then. I don't think it has to be a sea of Rebecca, but I want to see you floating in that sea a little bit,
Yeah. I have noticed there's a difference in the way people engage when, if you're more active on stories and you're just like talking regular, it's not planned out. It's not completely scripted. Like you can have an idea of what you want to say, but I think the overthinking it is what makes it feel even less genuine. And
totally.
And I don't know. Every time I do feel like we can get in our own way where we have our message that we're trying to give, but it's not really the message people want to receive.
Right. You just said it.
I think that's where it's like, it's not there's no magic solution to coming up with your secret sauce, but it is, you got to like get into it. You have to wade in. It is going to feel a little awkward. You're going to try a bunch of stuff until you find what people respond back to the most. And you're like, they were liking that. I should do more of that.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, like what we're saying is we are not the best judges of our secret sauce. So we have to get outside information, which could
friends,
be from
family,
like
coworkers, followers,
copy dates, analytics, like all these things add into, oh, people like that about me. I thought it was quirky.
That's the weird thing about me.
People like the weird. They like the weird. They like the story. Like it goes down in the DMs too. Like I'm sure you guys know. Just the back and forth that you could have. Like it could start on the feed, but it goes down in the DMs. And I'm just,
I am very familiar.
It ended up with me like yesterday saying I was that I was like replying back. I even posted like one story frame, but I left off the quirky stuff. And then at the end of it, like I knew her, so I typed and said, "Well, I probably should have put that on the post." Because it was valuable info, and because I was worried about it, quote, looking a certain way, I didn't add it. We can't get caught up in that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's really the vulnerability for us with potential clients is that we're basically going to be married to our design clients for a pretty long period of time for projects. and it's going to get real at points and stressful. And like I think the bigger point we can make of, okay, we're another person too. We're running this business too. You have real stuff going on. I've got real stuff going on. I think it's made for an easier like leveling of the playing field to have it all, have things out there. Like I don't want clients apologizing for stuff that they can't help during construction, whether it's what they're wearing when I show up for a site meeting or how frazzled they are, or I have that stuff
kids
too.
Kids are going crazy, whatever.
Or people always tell me like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my house is such a mess." I'm like, girl, like this is gonna be a whole mess of a situation.
We don't all live in a photo shoot.
I've been cleaning my house for a week, okay? It's just like, it's a mess right now.
We don't all have full-time house staff to help fix and keep everything up to date.
In your shit. Like our jobs are like, we're in people's lives and homes. So I'm going to see your messy house. And I have one too, but
I am going to go through your medicine cabinet when you forgot to empty it before the demolition. And I'm throwing all your stuff in a box. Like there's no more like, like there is none of that. And I don't know. I feel like, especially if you're going to be meeting your potential client, if you're going to be seeing them, working with them, whether it's virtually or otherwise, like we just have to get that Band-Aid ripped off and get past that sort of stuff, because it makes it so much easier to jump into working on a project together when you've already done that.
Right. And we want to get to that part. That's the good stuff.
Hey, Shaun, have you signed up for the Hot Young Designers Club newsletter?
Oh, no.
Really? Is this you not wanting to clutter your inbox with a lot of excess junk?
No. Let me do it. Where do I need to go?
You need to go to hotyoungdesignersclub.com. Scroll down until you get to the subscribe button. You just pop in your email address and your name.
All right. I'm doing it right now. Is this going to be a bunch of spam?
It's not. It's actually not going to be anything until we actually get around to sending something. But we have big plans, and we want to be able to send surveys to get feedback from our audience, and maybe once in a while a special surprise or a recap.
All right. I'm on it.
Thank you. Back to the show. I think we're all like kind of starved for connection right now, more so than usual, and we're missing the like live pheromones and exchanging of air. So we have to like take down the guard a little bit and just be more open, which I've embraced that as my quote unquote brand. Like when I was hosting creative mornings, like I was terrible like as a obviously, you guys know.
MC
I was not a good MC.
Hosting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that you were nervous on your first time, and you were fine the rest of the time, and you were fine then. Just for the record,
but I just
always her worst critic.
Just said, I'm awkward, authentic. That's my brand. I'm gonna like stumble on my words and say weird stuff and embarrass the speakers, like whatever.
Well, I think that also kind of humanized you a little bit, and I can use that from the flip side on someone who was worried about getting everything right and talking, perfectly and everything as the leader of the blog block. Like, I do think people loved that, and they embraced the community, and no one ever said anything to me. But I wish that I could have just relaxed a little bit and just been a little bit more in the moment and awkward. And today kind of sucked, but I'm here, y'all. How you guys feeling? Versus, guys on the blog block. Like, no, people, you instantly like made everyone exhale when you acknowledged that moment. So
because everyone, I don't need to talk about this too much, but I
know I'm like,
let it
out. Here we go, turn this table around.
My whole goal with that environment was, so we'd have monthly meetings of like 200 people, and I would bring a guest on to speak on a topic, and my whole goal with that was for it to be, I would call it introvert friendly networking. So you could come by yourself. People would come to me all the time and say, I finally came. I'm so shy. I hate networking, but I felt so comfortable here. And that was like always the vibe I wanted. Because that's
it is
how
such an awkward process to walk into a room of people you don't know.
Okay.
And that's, I think
Mhm.
part of that is like, one day we're going to get to this point where what Rebecca and I want is to remove some of that anxiety from fellow designers, fellow creatives, to feel like they don't belong or they're the imposter, going back to what we said at the beginning of like, oh, well, I'm not really a designer yet, or I'm too young to really fit in with all these other people. And it's like,
I don't have
these
enough
are all just other,
followers.
or I don't have enough projects to have anything in common with these other high level designers that are part of the American Society of Interior Designers or the Architects Associations or whatever it may be, or walking into a showroom event. It's just like, even if you've not used these, $300 a yard fabrics, it doesn't mean you don't have a place here or something to learn here.
Right.
Or people to have something in common with. And that's sort of like
or something to teach. Like that's
Yeah.
how I think that's part of it is I've always felt like I'm not quote unquote professional enough or buttoned up, or like a lot of designers seem so put together and polished with the nails and the hair and the
Well,
thing.
we know that's not real behind the scenes.
Well, it
Right.
is for them, maybe, but it's not what everyone needs to be either. Like, there's room for
Sure.
all different
Yeah.
types.
And there's like they have their people,
Right.
like
Yes.
everyone's got their lane. That's their lane.
Exactly.
We gotta just like let people embrace theirs because I'm gonna embrace mine. Okay.
Yeah, and
my nails
there's
are ratchet,
clients.
So
Oh my god, my poor nails. Clients that are going to gravitate to each of those lanes. So
totally.
like, the lanes reflect the clientele and the folks that want to
Who
hire
you want to
each
work
of us.
with. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, I would love some of Kelly Wurstler's clients, but they may not be my client. Like they might have the budget I want, but I might not feel like wanting to have a cocktail with them at the end of the project. Or that's like the type of client
You'd be like,
I want to work with. Yeah, please don't call me. Oh, also, don't give my number to your friends. Like,
right, that's the one. Don't refer me either.
Don't refer me to those people. I don't. And that's, I think, important I know we don't want to turn down business. I know it's a really luxurious thing to say, and it's a really like privileged thing to be able to say, like, turn down business. But I don't know. I feel like when you've found the right people and the right project and the right vibe and energy with clients you want to work with, everything just helps fall together easier. Navigating conflict is easier. Troubleshooting is easier, and it gets so much harder when it wasn't the right person, but they're paying your bills.
Absolutely. I think this can even translate to like online businesses. So like if you are an influencer or you are a designer, or anyone who wants to work with brands, like this is something else to probably stand out. Like everyone does everything over email, and that's totally fine, but you can't tell tone, you can't tell excitement. There's just a lot you can't get from a person.
Right.
And get on the phone. I mean, the phone sucks. Look, I hate the phone. I had to tell people, like, I've been on the phone a lot the past couple of weeks, but like, I really hate the phone. And I know I'm not the only one, but it cuts the crap. You can just talk through some of the final details. I'd have a couple of questions. And you hop on a quick call, 15-minute call, like set the tone so everyone's like, okay, I'm not going to be on the phone for an hour, right?
Yeah.
But
it won't be awkward.
I can tell from a phone conversation if this person's going to be easy to work with, if we can vibe, or if maybe the question I'm asking and the way that they're answering it is like going to cause me to have some pause. So I think it's the same with brands as you would do like an Are We a Fit call or any kind of consultation. Like get that pulse sooner than later, because you don't want to be all the way in it. And then you're so deep you can't get out, but you're also kind of miserable too.
Right.
So you're not going to perform work as well. You're not going to be as excited about it. You might not even want to put it in your portfolio or in your media kit later.
Or you resent it. Like, what an awful
feeling.
Right.
Like, and it's not like we're just doing things to be completely like self-serving, but if you're spending the time and effort into making something great, like you should at least be able to show it off if you want to.
I actually had a call. I had a like new lead call yesterday with a woman, and she asked me what my ideal client was. Like she had it all together. Like she
was
wow,
interviewing you. It wasn't you interviewing her.
Right. No, she's like, thought you knew.
No, she was totally
I sent you a project
awesome.
brief. Did you open it? Like,
I mean, she's in tech.
Here's a
like
link
they
to the
were like
Dropbox.
dialed. Yeah. But yeah, she asked me like what makes an ideal client for me, and what would be like, what am I looking for when I'm wanting to work with somebody, which was like, wow, no one's ever asked me that before. That's really cool.
But you've put that thought together.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go, Shaun.
I was going to say, like, you've put that together before, Rebecca. Like, you've said that in your website. You've said that.
I've been thinking about it a lot more too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that was like, ooh, good thing you had some ideas to throw out there. Otherwise, you're like a deer in the headlights. Like, how do I brand this? What do I say? Like, do I tell them they're my perfect client just because?
Totally. I think we all should be equipped to answer that message, no matter what kind of business we have. Because if it's not something that is like public, like, we're a fit if, boom, 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 like in the FAQ or something, it's great to go through the exercise and kind of have that as your guide as you're having these calls, even if you're not being asked the question. Because if they're not checking those boxes, then you can clearly tell that it may not be a fit, or that they don't have the budget, or they have the budget, but it's going to take way more time than like you can spend in this quarter or whatever.
Emotional bandwidth.
Because that's cost money too.
It does. It costs a lot.
Can I be infiltrated and talk about the pain in the ass fee? Or is that like not late? Is that not?
Oh my gosh, you do that too?
Yeah, upcharge?
I call it the bullshit fee, because it's like, I'm gonna have to put up with a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, but here, and I don't add that to a lot. So like, I really need
line
to like.
Item? Is it a line item in your proposal?
It's not a line item. But put it this way: it's when I'm thinking about, and this is, I guess, designer talk, but it's like, how much back and forth are we going to have before we can actually get to it? The actual project. Like, what you don't want to find is that you've burnt all your hours in discovery and you haven't even spent any time on the design, because there's the hard costs, I'm sure, in your business of the actual materials and the furniture and whatever. And clearly I'm not a designer. I said the whatever. Someone's probably like, oh,
I'm with you.
We're with that.
The stuff.
But there's also your time. So that's why it's tricky too when you're thinking about pricing, even as like a digital creator. Like, if you have a platform, that's like a placement fee. Like, you would place an ad in a magazine, on TV, radio, whatever. Then there's the actual time that it costs to make the creative. And I account for prop sourcing, styling, art direction, review, content creation, all that. So, that's just how I do it though. I mean, what do you guys think?
I mean, I liked when she said that, because it's been something I've been thinking about with, I get a lot of different requests from different types of people, and I swear the universe is like testing me with it right now. But
the universe is coming for you.
Because people are actually like, I've had a few, like 3 or 4 people this week ask me, this is the kind of project I want you to do. Is this part of your services? They're like testing whether I'm going to like hold up my boundaries.
Uh-huh.
You
know how I feel about boundaries, Rebecca.
Shaun's Mr. Boundary. He's teaching me. But I'm trying to create like buckets of service that, like, okay, I only have 3 buckets, fit in it. And to meet like my biggest bucket, which is full service, I'm going to have really high standards of what that client needs to be creatively. There's a budget minimum, things like that. And it's like, that's like, those are the clients that we're with for a long time. So to Shaun's point, like, we're kind of like married to these people for a while.
No, I hear you. And through my coaching, so, I guess I have monetized my business a few different ways. One is through the blog, and the Instagram and all of that as content creator, but through coaching, we have to go through this at the very onset before anything begins, because I need to make sure that I have a thorough understanding and I can actually help, like I said, I think I'm part of someone's journey. I'm not going to be with you for the entire process. You might come back, but we're going to start someplace. We're going to start here. I think.
And we all need to know what we want. Like, how do we know when we're successful? Like, if you don't have those goals, you don't even know when you've done it. Like,
yeah.
Right. And that's why it's sometimes good to work with a coach or a mentor of some sort to kind of identify what those benchmarks should be. Because it's one thing to have a goal, but if you don't know the process and what it takes to get there, then
we're just talking.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And it's not that it can't happen. It's just that we just need to get you some tools and stock that belt up, and we're just going to keep going on the journey.
So tell us about what Level Up with Kachet offers, because I know you got something new coming up. And
yeah, so Level Up with Kachet kind of came out of, I'll just say, COVID crazy. I was working already with creative entrepreneurs, mostly women, and now I've kind of pivoted just to women.
Okay.
Sorry, Shaun.
Hey, that doesn't hurt me.
But we can get the package deal since the podcast. You know, we can figure this out. Okay.
But like you're finding like that's your audience.
That's
like,
my audience. That's totally
yeah.
my audience. I do attract some men. Like I had a workshop in Sacramento before I moved, and I had one gentleman. Blog Block had a couple guys when we were doing it in person. But anyway, the ladies.
You know who you want to work with, and it's easy for you to like get started faster probably by doing that.
And
that
I think need more
sense.
help like getting our like confidence packaged up, and
Look,
there is plenty of stuff out there for men. Like they don't need more. We don't need more. I mean,
like cultural norms in society.
Yeah, like I don't need. I mean, the one thing that they could not target to me would be nice is like all-in-one shampoos and stuff like that. Like that.
Yeah, that kind of
stuff has got to go.
The body wash and shampoo. You're like,
yeah. Like
hair and you know what with
no.
stuff?
Like that stuff targeted to men could go. Like service-based to help. Rebecca and I have talked about this in the podcast about how we feel really strongly that they're particularly like in women in business that it's like, oh, you have to be nice and you have to be like good, you have to be helpful,
don't rock the boat,
and it's just like
rock the boat season. No.
Yeah. Like you don't I don't know, I just want to avoid that picture of like my mother was like this vibrant red-haired woman who was called like the dragon lady at work, and it was just like she was a badass businesswoman in a really male-dominated industry. She worked in distribution and marketing and things for department stores her whole career. That's a man's world, and she had to be like that. But yeah, she was like labeled the bitch instead of just being like she's a boss, like, and that's just not appropriate. And we feel like that's part of our audience is finding a way to help women. I mean, particularly we see it a lot in our podcast audience of like, you deserve the tools and the techniques to make your business successful without having to apologize for everything all the time.
And we haven't necessarily grown up with it. So that I think is
right. And that's kind of why I felt like starting something like Level Up with Kachet was important, because I've been coached, I've been to workshops, I've done all these things. And, you know, I'd say I kind of left all of these professional development events like with a notebook full of notes, but no plan. Kind of tailored to me. Working with the coach, I've definitely been able to identify a plan and get some things that were stuck or needed some clarification like on, you know,
actionable things.
Right. But like, I'm already there with all my notes after I've sat with this and everything else. So, I was like, how can I fuse, like I said, that marketing brain, and kind of know-how, also my know-how of 5 years of being full-time on my own, working for myself, figuring it out, and being a content creator since 2012. Like, I've just learned a lot. I've seen a lot of different transitions, you know, in just how we all exchange information and how business operates. And I'm like, I'm going to package this up, because all I kept seeing in my feed for all my friends who either were furloughed or just went full time with their business in 2020, because this was the year, you know, we were all going to do all those things. You know, my word was bold. So I decided to be bold and put myself out there, because COVID hit and I'm like, y'all, we're going to figure this out. Like, this granted, the pandemic sucks and there's no cures, to like wear your mask and wash your hands. But with this time that you're not going to the coffees with the people you don't really care about and trying to get out of that event that you said yes to a couple weeks ago and you're like, oh, that's tonight. Like use
Let
that
me find
time
a reason not to go.
right. Like use that time and energy to like, let's focus on your business because things have slowed down. And while we never have time, we have to put time on our calendar to like have an admin week to get things clear before the next year starts, you know, at least before I know. And it's like, what if we could do that now while building a strategy to overcome some of these pain points that have, I guess, afflicted us as a result of COVID? So Level Up with Kachet covers personal branding, figuring out your ideal customer and client, but first going to your why. Like, why are you doing this? Is this because you love it? Is this because this is all you know? Is this because it's safe? Do you want to do something else? How can we talk about that? You know, like I really peel that onion back. And I think the group setting allows for that to happen and it feel a little bit more like you're not alone. Like you're in a group of, 15 to 20 women and you're like, oh, wow, her house sounds like mine. Or, I mean, I have people on the call who are holding babies sometimes. I'm like, this is just life. Like, I don't expect you to come dressed. Like I come dressed because like you pay me to show up. But like y'all can come as you are, so I go through that, but I go through partnership do's and don'ts, how to find the right contact, what to do, how to negotiate back and forth, usage, pitching media, figuring out a process for your content planning from social media all the way down to like your email list, and kind of putting that in like a workflow so that you can kind of continue that work after we're done working together or continuing to work together. I actually, my first round of Level Up, we started with 15, all but 2 stayed on for the next 6 weeks. And we're trying to figure out something for
like
another
a
6 weeks. Yeah. I'm like, at this point, we're moving more into like mastermind territory, which lets me know that if I'm able to do that, plus keep another group going, and now I'm recruiting for my next group that will be starting at the end of the month. It's like we all need this kind of collaborative, I guess, energy right now. And whether you're working with me or someone else, like I hope that you're finding someone who's holding you accountable, who's challenging you, who's asking you the questions, and maybe you're getting some feedback that makes you feel uncomfortable. And this is your life and your business, so you do you, but just take a second to consider it. Something that you said, like kind of about the client and thinking about who that is. For me, Level Up is for someone who has been has been showing up and serving their audience and has maybe hit a plateau. Or it's someone who knows what they want to do, but they just started and they don't want to make costly mistakes or waste time. And they just kind of want to get started on the right track from the get-go. I think Level Up is also for those who are just continual learners. Like I never stop learning. I learn something every time I go on any webinar, seminar. Like I never drop off. I'm like, I'm going to get something from this, right? But that accountability piece of it with the meetings is important because, again, like we said, we've gone to the conferences. We have notebooks full of notes and we can learn everything. But if you're not doing it, then it just gets put on your to-do list and gets further down. So that's why we have the group accountability. That's why we have the co-working sessions. That's why we have the ongoing communication in between sessions. So people can be like, hey, I got this email from a brand. What should I do? And I'm not the only one weighing in. Others have plenty to offer as well, which is great because sure, like I'm the leader, but we all have life experience. We've all had something similar. So there's a lot we can learn from each other if we just give it a chance. And I think that goes beyond work, but we ain't talking about that right now.
But all the participants are from different phases or stages. Yes. Like some haven't started a business, some are already in, and someone else will have something to learn. Yeah.
Right. Like I work with some other coaches, whether that be life or wellness. I work with vacation rentals. I work with makers. I work with other influencers that are more maybe in lifestyle or highly niche. So if you have a digital presence for your business and you want to grow, then Level Up with Kachet.
But I always like being in groups with other industries because there's like crossover opportunities or perspectives that are like really norm in their industry, but not in ours. And it's like, oh, like this is something that I can try to apply to this industry that'll feel innovative and different.
Absolutely.
Or they learn from the mystery of our business, because it's very ambiguous. And they're like, oh, I had no idea that home and design and all that worked that way.
You're so right about that. And, you know, with the different industry and even location, because as we're virtual, like maybe your ideal customer or client does not live in your town, you know, a lot of the people kind of act almost as like a mini focus group. So if you have an idea or something that you're putting out there and you need eyes, ears, and people to give feedback, that's for real. Like we've done hot seats, we've done all kind of things in this group so that you can get that and optimize your content and move on. So it's been really great. I mean, I love doing it. Like I started 2020 saying I'm going to be bold. I ended a business that broke hearts and mine too, but I really felt this urge to serve people on a more personal level, which is how I wanted to do the coaching thing. I literally moved to Dallas a month before lockdown. So I never got a chance to like super network and just get out there, because in Sacramento, I was like girl about town. So, which, I mean, I guess in a way it's been nice to kind of quote, take a break from that and like reprioritize and reset. But what I was planning to launch didn't serve my community at the time that something was needed, which is how Level Up was born. And I think it's got such a bright future. Like I said, I'm doing it again, enrollments now. So if you have questions, you know, slide in my DMs, but I plan to take this to the next level. You know, I'm leveling up myself.
Level up. And what I always love about what you do is you give the why and like the theory behind things, but you also do the how. Like your last email series was really helpful, because it's like, okay, check your analytics, tell us why, but also kind of how. Like these are the things you should be looking at and the specifics, and make yourself a checklist, like get the things going.
Yeah. And I think something that I wanted to bring out as a coach, and something that I still strive to, is to show real examples. Like I share what my content buckets are with you all. I share how I plan my content, the entire process. And that was in just my Level Up and Show Up free email challenge, which I'll give you guys if you want to put in show notes. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I loved that. It was really good.
But like same with analytics, like, okay, I know my best time to post. Now what? Like there's another layer to that.
Right.
When it comes to pitching do's and don'ts, I'm sharing communication I've had with brands, like screenshots. And if it's not in my presentation, I'm going to my inbox to find it and show you on Zoom. Like I don't have anything to hide. Me sharing is not taking away from what I'm trying to do in the future. It's only going to help people get better and get what's theirs too, because there really is enough to go around. I mean, I know sometimes we can always get caught up in comparison and totally. But it's just like, nope, just get that back on track. We're going to do this. Find somebody else or try them next time. You know, sometimes it's about timing. It's not always about you.
Yeah, the timing, the angle, like you
totally.
Someone else's project could have been the exact thing that fit, that they felt would really connect with their target audience or what they're trying to do. And maybe it's not whatever you're pitching, that project just didn't make sense for them right then. And then you come back with a new perspective and angle for it, and it makes sense.
Or you really miss their budget window and it's closed.
I mean,
like, that's real.
That's real.
Get in early in that fiscal year budget, okay?
Like... I know, right? And that's another thing too. Like some people run on a fiscal year and some don't. So you're like,
you don't even know.
Yeah. So many variables, but you can find some of that out if you do your homework and look at their press room and investor relations and all of that. You can get some of those insights. So maybe you know a little bit before you get disappointed. You know,
it's a good one.
I'm even spilling all the tea. What else you got?
That's what we're here for is all of this. I want to ask you about one thing you mentioned before we were recording the show about turning a no into a yes, and what that means, and how I think we realistically as designers see that in it's not just with partnerships or collaborations. It may even be working with clients.
Totally. So I think it's a case-by-case basis, and there's no exact formula to make this work. But I guess I try to, when I'm in communication, this also can help if you hop on the phone call, because you can get some of that backstory even before you send a proposal or whatever. You can figure out what's important to them and what skills or people who can help you leverage that, or help. Yes. I think you get what I'm saying. That kind of came out wrong, but like if you can't take the photos,
we're picking up what you're putting down.
Right. Yeah. Like if you can't take the photos, but you have a bomb photographer who you work with, like you need to talk to your photographer and figure out how this can work for the both of you, which is what I do currently. So, sometimes I ask for the real feedback though. Like, this doesn't work. Thanks so much. I'd love to stay in touch. What are some things coming down in the pipeline for you so I can keep you top of mind for the content that I'm creating? Because I usually go in, granted, I introduce myself and have my connection to the brand, but I don't give a full idea in a pitch. I give them a few sentences. I might link to an example. But I always ask the question, does this fit with what you are working on at this time? I'd love to connect with you to learn what you're prioritizing at this point in the year or this quarter or this, however you want to say it. Because later they might say no for this and timing doesn't work out, but let's say that that maybe earned media is important for them. They want to get placed on apartment therapy. We'll just use them for an example because I know we've been on it. But I say that with humility, of course.
Don't read the comments. Don't read the comments.
Don't read
the comments.
Don't read the comments.
Ripping you to shreds.
I hung some photo wrong. Too bad. I like it where it's at. I'm fine. Okay, my eye level ain't your 5'2" eye level. So anyway, but just as an example, like, let's just say something that you're working on. You've already been working with an editor of some sort, and that you're focusing on a room that matches the client. Because at the time it wasn't a fit, but they said they wanted to focus on, bedrooms. And you can go back to them saying, hey, I know it wasn't a fit for, and to reintroduce yourself. Like we last touched base when I reached out about working on my outdoor space. I'm actually working on a bedroom project right now and have confirmed placement with apartment therapy. I'd love to connect with you because I think it'd be a great way to, augment the brand through X, X, and X. Can you hop on a call to discuss? Thanks so much, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're getting on. This actually happened to me the last couple of months. I pitched somebody for my last one room challenge, an agency who reps a lot of flooring companies, we'll say, and they couldn't fit it in. She was really nice about it, but it just didn't work. I don't even remember what she said. Why? But she reached out to me a month ago because she watched me. So I'm sure they couldn't really make it work, but she also kept her eye on the project to see what I did. And then she told me, she's like, I'm so bummed we couldn't make it work because your style is different than what we normally do, but I really want to bring that to our project. So she pitched me a paid collaboration.
Awesome.
And yeah, so a lot of these teams for brands are they're in PR and marketing. They're trying to fill their clients' needs and keep you on their roster.
Totally. And that's why it's important to stay in communication. I mean, that was even something that was part of the Level Up and Show Up challenge. One of the days was reach out to a few professional connections and, bonus challenge, make it a recurring date on your calendar to do so, because there's nothing like, whether or not you worked with them or not, just letting them know what you're up to, but also asking what they're up to. Things may have changed. They may have changed positions, and maybe they're working on a different area of business. I mean, and just right now, a blanket quote excuse for reaching out is COVID. Are you okay? A lot's changed in this world. Yeah. I was just thinking about our conversation. I hope all is well. Don't even go into the ask. Don't even make it even about this. Connect on a human level.
Totally.
So I think that's super important. You also just reminded me, Rebecca, I think it's important to follow editors of magazines that you read on Instagram. Follow on Instagram, editors of magazines that you read. Y'all got it. Same with client contact. Like if you had a good rapport with someone that you worked with online, it's not creepy to follow them on Instagram. It's actually wise, because let's just be real. A lot of people that we work with don't follow us.
Correct.
You know, they find us online. We're in some database.
Or their brand follows you. They follow you through the brand, and they're not looking. Yeah.
But like the social media manager may not be the same person, and they're following a ton of other accounts anyway. So try to get on if you do that and they see your content and it's good, then, or you're consistent at least, regardless of if they post every day, you know, people are always scrolling. So they could just come across something that you're working on and then have an idea. I mean, there's so many times where, like I've worked with Better Homes and Gardens a lot, and I don't do home stuff. So I mean, this is a new thing for me. I just started doing home last spring. So, you know, keeping it all the way real. But I've had emails threads start with, I saw that you just moved, or love the trip you just came off of. How was London? Like whatever it was. And you're like, you don't think people are paying attention to that stuff? Oh, they watching.
They
do.
Yeah.
They may not be very active, but they're seeing it behind the scenes.
And it's the person, like going back, it's the person that you're connecting with, and that person could change jobs, change representation, and maybe their next job is a better fit for the content you produce or whatever it is.
I think that's good for a PR angle. For a lot of designers want to seek some level of exposure and publication, whether it's digital or in print is probably like at that's at a different level for a lot of designers. But like we can apply this even if it's not to the influencer side. It's also to the, I want to raise my brand profile. I want to increase my credibility, because is being published necessarily going to get you the next job? That might not be exactly what causes the phone call, but the added credibility of, oh, they've been published, gives clients that sense of security of like, oh, this is a legit business. They are seen, you know, they're in their industry putting themselves at a higher level. And that's the person they want to work with. It's not like, I saw that project in, you know, Better Homes and Gardens and now I'm going to hire them. It may be where they come across you later, and because you were featured, they feel more comfortable in calling you.
Totally. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, and I'm not, again, there's no shade to anyone by the statement I'm getting ready to make, but like everyone is a fill in the blank. Everyone's a coach. Everyone's an influencer. Everyone's a designer right now. Like, you know, with the magic of Instagram and the internet, you know, anyone can quote be an expert, but you can put your quote money where your mouth is if you can say you've been featured somewhere else, or you've been a guest on the podcast, or, you know, you're going a little bit beyond that. Or even if you haven't been published, but you have worked with the brand more than 3 times, you know, more than once, clearly you had a rapport and a good working relationship, because we know how the one-offs work. Sometimes they're fine, but sometimes
it's not transactional.
Right. It's relationships. It's about relationships, man.
It is. And clients want, I mean, you know, if you're featured in Better Homes and Gardens, your client's going to tell their friends that their designers featured in Better Homes and Gardens. So it's a feather in their cap too.
And then, you know,
and I've gotten clients from being in Zach Mag. I had a client that lives in New York yesterday who I had a consult with, because she went home and saw my magazine, my office, and her mom's coffee table in Sacramento, and called me. I don't know, like it's just, you just never freaking know.
Never know.
And in her sphere of influence, she has all those people who are still in Sacramento or other acquaintances or friends. Like you, that's.
But now
really...
she's in New York and going to Chicago. So now, like, I mean, not like, I mean, it was a small project, but it's still like now I'm in a new sphere of influence.
Yep.
Absolutely. Especially, and you know, not being tied to a region either. Like that's
the
really
virtual stuff.
Yeah. And maybe it's just virtual for now, but Rebecca, you could be flying to, you know, Dallas to be doing something over here.
Sign me up.
You know, or wherever.
I know.
You know, it's digital, it's virtual now, because we can't really travel and do the things that we want to do, but like how great would it be to build this relationship with someone across the country or whatever, and being able to do more and more as time goes on. Like, this is a great time to really focus on building relationships and establishing trust.
And that's a long game strategy.
It totally is.
This isn't going to happen in 3 months where someone or not necessarily happening like 3 weeks. They're going to call you for that project. I'm going to build like trust. People are going to understand who I am, my voice, know that I can be helpful to them. It takes a long time, just like our real relationships in person with friends or family. The same way with that next potential client or the next potential editor or the next potential brand it's long-term planning. Don't expect immediate results all the time, which we've kind of been trained now is like instant gratification.
Yes.
It's not going to happen like that all the time.
Keep putting it out there.
I'm really glad you did talk about getting on the phone and talking to people when you're trying to turn the no into a yes or remove obstacles or objections, because there is, I don't know if it's generational. I don't know what it is. I don't want to like single out any group or demographic of age group or something, but there is totally this barrier of like, I see designers posting in these groups and asking for advice, and they're like, oh, we've been writing emails back and forth for a week and the client is angry and now they're sending these text messages, and I'm like,
here's a screenshot.
Where was the phone call? Like, when you got that email, the first response when you know, ooh, this is going to get heated, is I'm going to pick up the phone, because people act the fool on written communication where there's no person and it's just like being an internet troll. But when they're on the phone with you, it does. Yeah. Like you need to get them to realize like you're talking to a human being.
Yep.
Like, we need to get through what happened, acknowledge the mistake or acknowledge what got missed or get through whatever the issue is. And then it's really about focusing on the solution. And emailing and text messaging and all that rarely gets to an immediate solution. You're going to get there by...
It's like it can keep escalating.
Right.
You're going to get to that.
Tone either.
Right.
Yeah.
So you might
like,
think
how mad are they?
Like, with you. Right.
Or they're not.
For no reason.
Right.
You know?
Or they're not. Yeah. And they're just a very matter-of-fact writer when they put things in email, because that's like their corporate way of work. And so when
Siri did it, like Siri
did, like, voice dictation,
some punctuation we didn't even know about.
And that's where I think there's just so much gets solved. And I find, like, I tell the angle I use with clients why I prefer phone calls over anything else is I can solve a problem much faster in person with you or on the phone with you. You're paying me, I'm hourly. So you're paying me to solve your problem by writing you a 20-minute email. Like, I could solve it in 5 on the phone with you or your contractor. So that's more valuable to you, is now we have that extra money to spend on lighting fixtures or plumbing fixtures or whatever.
Totally.
Like,
whatever your heart desires.
Just let's talk on the phone, or hold your thoughts, write me a list. I'm going to be there on Thursday. Right. We're going to get through that whole list. I promise you, I won't leave until we answer all those questions.
Right.
But it really is setting that tone of, we can solve this, but we can't do it back and forth through email, or we can't do it through text messaging.
Stop texting me.
Just stop texting me. Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to block you.
That's a hard boundary for me. I like just recently even put it into, I'm using a new proposal application. It's in the proposal. Like, I acknowledge this is not okay. Like, I don't do text.
I think that, I mean, I know it's
getting clear.
Like, the only time I really use text with clients is if like it's shoot day and like something's arriving on shoot day, or we're like literally on location and like there's components. But other than that, like, I don't try to give out my phone number.
Right. It's not fun. Like, if you're really on your way to like, hey, I'm in traffic, I ran 10 minutes behind, I will be there. Because the email, it's like, well, they're there getting ready.
Right.
Are they looking at their email notifications? Yeah, urgency makes sense. But for most stuff, it's put it in a list. If it helps you to write the email and send it to me just so you document your process, great. But I'm not going to reply with another 4-page long email.
Right.
Like, we're going to get on a call or meet together.
Totally.
Solve problems, get past the objection, get past the rejection, the no, whatever it was, and like be on the same page together. So I love that.
Well, I think it's that time of the show before we get to our burning questions.
Okay.
I really wanted some kind of special fire alarm, like
a fire sound effect sounds kind of funny and like.
I tried it. It sounded really scary, and I really wanted it to be like a hot firefighter of some sort, but it didn't translate.
But you need an audio translation of that, which doesn't yeah. So
I don't know. I'm gonna cross my fingers for y'all.
Yeah, this segment is 5 questions that we like to ask each of our guests in kind of a quick fire style, just as a fun way to get into your brain, get to know you a little bit better.
Okay, so I'm gonna remind you quick fire style, because I feel like how we're gonna talk about these, and if we want to talk about
it's a whole other episode,
right? Like we're gonna talk about them. Like wait, that'll be bonus material. Okay.
Okay.
That's for myself too. Sorry.
Okay,
here we go.
Number 1, in one sentence, how has your business changed as a result of COVID-19?
I'm gonna say COVID made me stop fucking around and step into my greatness, because people need me.
Yay! Yes. I love it. I see that for you, and I feel it. You're really doing it.
Thank you.
You're not retreating away from it.
Yes. I'm like walking. I'm all in. Like I'm just free falling right now, and it's great. So thank you, COVID. Ooh, I hate COVID, but yeah.
We got 2020's got to give us something good.
Something. Okay. Yeah, that's my sentence.
Number 2, what have you done for professional development recently that you would recommend to our listeners?
Leave your motherfucking house and go work somewhere. Okay. So I did, in true to Rebecca tradition, but I've been trying to do this like since I moved from Dallas to Dallas. I wanted to do a staycation / workcation. And it's just because like my cup's just a little empty, and I'm such an environmental person.
Yeah.
From talking to people and the sights and the sounds, and going to a hotel room for 2 days and actually booking a session with a coach for 3 hours to go through the ins and outs of my business. Like, am I on track? Here's what I want to do. Who do you know that's like this? Like going through that. Awesome. Like I came home, I was feeling refreshed, and now I've got a whole like list of things to do. So
it's so nice having like no distractions, no dog, no kid, no partner, no house, no lunch.
Nothing to clean. Like,
and I'm gonna tell you, everybody can pitch a hotel right now if you have online presence. I know. Here I am I'm my own problem.
I know.
Design angle on it. You want to talk about the architect, whatever, but talk about also breaking down the experience, because it's COVID days and you shouldn't be scared. So
right. And I think that's a big pitch for it. Yeah. You can still do it safely. You can stay isolated. Find a place with good room service. Like,
yeah, totally. Done. That's what I did. And Smart. So if you want to talk about that, we can get on a strategy session and get on the phone and talk about it.
Yes.
No, we
absolutely.
Do. Okay. So number 3, what is one design element you've been drawn to lately? Whether it's a material, an object, a finish. I know you say you're not home, but you've got some style, so you know what you like.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's kind of a tie, because I've never really left like metallics. Like I love brass and I love mixing metals. Like I've just been the gold lady since like 2008. My best friend Katie always talks about me in my black and gold. But anyway, so yeah, metallics from like home design all over. But you've got me on this arch kick for finding or just some interesting use of paint versus painting an entire wall. So whether that's like kind of doing some color blocking or an arch, like I really like having some fun with color without it taking over an entire space. So that might be happening soon.
Yeah. I think the arch, like, we all need a little like soft edge right now.
Totally.
It's like a hug. Arches are like hugs.
There's something classical about it that but it feels like clean the way we're doing it now. It's not like, in a church or a cathedral type of arch or anything, but it's just feels like it's freshening up maybe some of like the basic architecture that a lot of homes are just programmed with. So now yours is more special because you did that one thing, and it just it feels cool.
It feels cool. Warms up
All
the room,
right.
gives it life.
Absolutely.
So you need a golden arch. Oh wait.
A metallic finish arch.
Closet. Remember I've been trying to figure out what to do with the closet?
This not McDonald's, but yeah.
Yeah. Golden arches.
Oh
Sorry,
my
I didn't
God.
even hear that when we were
It's gonna look so badass. We can make it like golden rod, maybe not super shiny.
Yeah.
Talk about that later.
I like it.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I like it. Question number 4 is a fun one. If you could live in the set of any TV show or movie, what would it be?
Okay, so this was really hard because like I can't narrow down things like this. Like this is hard. You know, for practical reasons and just with like the COVID brain, I'd say Dead to Me. Christina Applegate's house is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I might change some things inside.
Like the dead body.
The layout, the layout's fantastic. I love the kitchen. I love the kitchen. Perfect for entertaining and creating content. Being able to have like the she shed and that
little guest house.
Kind of awesome. Kind of need that.
All self-contained, but like everything you need is there.
Right.
Yeah, it's like spacious but cozy. Yeah, no, that's a good one.
That's a good set.
What is one non-living object, so not Rudy, you would save from your home in a fire?
There is a box, and I know don't tell me I need to scan them, but there is a box of photo albums from my grandmother's house that used to be part of my favorite pastime when I was little, was opening them and going through them and asking her who these people were, because they're all old photos. So I would take that box. I would leave everything else and take the box. I'm being except for CJ and Rudy, of course, but you know.
Yeah.
I've seen
they're running.
Can I say my
they're
laptop
running
too?
out.
My business. This is my business. I can't make money to replace the things if I don't have my laptop. So that too. Okay.
You could stack the box on top of the laptop.
There we go.
And then just run.
Make a run for it.
And run. Yep, there we go.
Totally.
That's great. Yeah, I've seen some of those old photos of your family, and like they all have like cool style too, and
very
like
cool style. You know what's special is over the years I've kind of shed some furniture from my grandmother, and you know now I'm like, crap, why didn't I save some of that stuff? But there are some pieces that I've saved, namely art.
Yeah, so the art is really great.
A picture from like 1962 and like seeing the same photos that are on my wall on her wall, like with my mom, like as a little girl in there, you know, so that's fun.
That's a good connection.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, I love it. Now I feel like I need to get my coach call booked because it's time for me to level up.
Yeah, do it.
How long is enrollment open for Level Up with Kachet?
So it's open through September, and I'm recruiting for the next round too. I might, if there's enough demand, I'll have 2 groups. Okay. So, you know, I do kind of pre-select. I mean, everyone can sign up, but we may have to hop on a call to just make sure you are ready. Kind of like this, we might need to find a different solution for you depending on where you're at in your business and what your goals are. So again, I really want to make it personal, and I do tailor the sessions to the participants. So, cool. Hey, I don't want you coming to me and you're just sitting there like, why am I in this class?
Right. Like, am I getting everything out of this?
Right.
That's your job, is to make sure that they're going to get what they're supposed to out of it. They're going to grow and learn from it.
Totally.
Where should listeners find you?
Yeah, thekachetlife.com, and that is Kachet. Kachet.
And they can follow you on Instagram too.
At the Kachet Life as well. So yeah, level up, strategy session, DM, wine over video chat, whatever. I am down to collab and meet you. If you're here for all of it, then I'm here for you.
Yes. I love it.
All of it.
I think what's so awesome about it is that you've got this like tenacity about what you're doing with your business. And I think it's infectious to other business owners who are also trying to keep that level of tenacity and ambition in their business right now. And so the fact that you're still trying to learn, grow, and adapt, you're not stagnating. And I think that's
2020 is not going to break us either. Like,
no,
you're not gonna...
that's what people need. And if they're thinking about I want to work with someone who has that same level of conviction as what I'm bringing to my business. You don't want someone who's like, I've done this for 20 years and it's the same process. Like, no, it has to keep changing and adapting, because that's what we're having to do right now. And I think that's so key to feeling like someone you're going to for support actually like gets you along the way.
And gets it. Like,
Totally.
You have to keep growing. You have to keep growing.
Absolutely.
Even if it's a little uncomfortable. But luckily you've got some friends and support along the way to make it a little bit less uncomfortable.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kachet. Like, this has been fantastic.
I want to do part 2 one day. We have to figure out a special topic, not to like pitch myself on live now.
Well, hey, you're walking the walk. Pitch it.
Yeah. You know where to find us. We're here.
We should take like questions one day or something.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Go live or do something. We'll figure it out. People, tell us what you want.
Exactly. They all know how to get at us in the reviews and the show notes on Instagram. Yeah. We're in our DMs all the time, and they can email us too, so they know how to find questions they'd like to hear. Questions for Kachet.
And we'll have links.
I love it. Thank you.
We'll have links in the show notes too.
Yeah, we'll put links to the show notes, and then we'll also put, you talked about some of the emails that were some of your like free guidance and tips. Yeah. We'll add those in too. And I think that'll be really cool for people to get the preview of what to expect. So
totally. Yeah.
Thank you for your generosity with that. I think it's just you give out what you're expecting to get in return from the people you want to work with, from the universe, from our Hot Young Designer listeners. So thanks.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Fairy Blog Mother. It was so good to see you.
I know. I miss you so much. I'm going to cry real big when I can finally hug you. So get ready.
I'm saying.
And then we'll hug too, Shaun, because we're going to meet one day and have that glass of wine. It's going to happen.
We're already trying to figure out how we're making these connections in person.
We're coming to Dallas Market. We're going to come next
year.
I was thinking like a market would be an easy way to get in front of a lot of people, because we can like in advance tell people that if they're going to be near that area to get to it. And I know it's still tough right now, but it is like, build it out on the horizon.
Yes.
It's already 2021.
It is. There we go.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, lady.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, Kachet. Bye.
Thanks for joining this meeting of the Hot Young Designers Club podcast.
If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Check out the show notes there for links to things we talked about today.
We are keeping the conversation going on Instagram, so don't forget to like, comment, and follow at Hot Young Designers Club.
You can find Rebecca on Instagram at Studio Plum.
And you can find Shaun at Renstead Interiors. That's WRENSTED.